Good afternoon. This is Reverend Q again here at Africa USA Radio. We are so thankful for this wonderful day, even though it's hot where I am, but we thank God for the day. We thank God for this wonderful time where we are living in. We pray that everything goes well, is going well with you. We pray that even those that are hovering in winter, God keep you warm and God keep you blessed as we are here feeling blessed, feeling happy. As you usually know, here at Africa USA Radio, every once in a while we bring relevant people, people that can help us in what we're doing so that we can do it even better. Because that's what Africa USA Radio is doing. Africa USA Radio is doing is only promoting what you do it better. Even though we come on the artist or on the music side, but we also try to balance what we are doing. And today we are so honored and privileged to have an icon all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. She's been on the radio, or she's been in media for quite some time now, and she got a very great insight about what radio and media is concerned. She is none other than Dr. Criselda Kananda, all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. Good evening in your time. It's our morning here, but good evening in South Africa. How are you doing, ma'am?
Thank you very much for the invitation. Indeed, it is evening, a cold evening in Johannesburg, South Africa, and it truly is a privilege and an honor for me to just always impart some pearls of wisdom anywhere in the world.
We are so honored, we are so humbled, and we are so we don't even know how to appreciate taking time on your busy schedule to just stop by at Africa USA Radio. Let me just lay a foundation here. Our doctor here, Dr. Criselda Kananda, she is in the media, and I always follow her because she always gives a great insight, a great wisdom, a great power of brains. So, so I came across an article that she wrote because she's so passionate about the radio. She's so passionate about media. So I was like, no, she's not a stranger at Africa USA Radio. She's worked with our team in Johannesburg, and we know her for a while. I think we tried to invite her in one of our events, but due to a conflict of schedule, she couldn't make it. But yes, she's home here. So feel free, don't be comfortable. And those that are watching, we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube, but we're going to be live on radio in a little bit. We'll tell you when we're going to be live on radio. So those that are watching, I see. Let me see so I can get the names. I see people watching. I want you to send questions while she's here, and then so that we can answer that. But we are talking radio today. Miss Criselda, you've contributed to different stations.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to break the ice before we get to tough questions. You've contributed to different platforms like Radio Metro, and you tell us more about that. How do you prepare to do all that contributions?
And when you say Radio Metro, you're giving away your age, because Radio Metro is where it all began. And now they call it Metro FM. Radio Metro would remind us of people like your Trevor Shabalalas, your Shadow Twalas of this world,
Yes.
broadcasting icons. I started off at Kaya FM, believe it or not. I was a guest. And I believe that I did well in that interview, that people started calling in. And at the time, the producer had not seen so many calls, people just wanting more and more. And as I walked away, the producer approached me asking, would you consider broadcasting, especially radio, as a career? And at the time, I was in marketing. at the peak of my career. And I mean, broadcasting for me was not something for consideration. And he said, no, you articulate well, you have good communication skills, you tell your story well, and that those are characteristics of a good presenter. Would you consider this? And I'm like, let me think about it, because I don't want to be famous. And that was my response to him. And as I walked away, man, he had planted a seed. I kept on thinking about it. And one time I just went for an interview. And after that, I just prepared a proposal for the station, Kaya FM at the time, a regional radio station. And the station manager just looked at my proposal and said, there's just too much good news in what you're proposing. And good news don't sell in broadcasting. Because I just wanted to educate about well-being, holistic well-being, using radio as your medium to just empower people to find wellness, body, mind, and soul. And she then says that won't fly. And I asked, I don't know what even motivated me to ask, what will it take for me to have a show like this without depending on your decision? And she said, you need to find, she stated a figure, a couple of millions. And I was like, okay, let me go find the money, I'll come back. As I walked away, I'm glad that I'm speaking to Reverend Q, who will understand that when God plants a seed, he enables it.
Yes.
So I prayed about it as I walked away, that God, you can't plant a seed like this. And then when they throw me with these figures, I don't hear your voice. And believe it or not, as I went into my car, one of the insurers in South Africa called to say, we've watched you, how you engage crowds, how you've handled single-handedly destroyed stigma in South Africa on HIV, and would like to do some work with you. We have a budget. And I asked what that budget is. And I remember saying to this guy, don't tell me, let me guess. And I stated the figure that the station manager mentioned. And he was like, how did you know? I'm like, that's my God for you. And that's how Positive Talk as a show was born on Kaya FM. And I had since been on Metro FM, on SAFM, on Radio 2000, so many other radio stations, including television programs on SABC, on Channel O, many other broadcasting platforms where I just, fell in love with broadcasting.
Yeah, before we're going to go to radio and money. But before we get there, let's start with, because money sometimes, that's what dictates what we're listening to and why we're listening to that. But let's start with going back to your article. Let's start with the upcoming or ambitious people who wants to be on the radio, who wants to be broadcasters. What is the first step? What they need to do? Or another part of the question is: everybody able to be a broadcaster, or is for the few?
For me, as long as you have a skill to tell a story, because people know themselves, and sometimes we choose careers that don't fit our character, because you may be a shy person, or perhaps you lack confidence, or you get tongue twisted a lot, or you have a condition called autism, or uyangingiza, you stutter. And there are certain things that will disable you from articulating and communicating your thoughts, whatever it is that you want people to know and understand at a particular time. And if you don't have those qualities of a good communicator, broadcasting may not necessarily be yours. You may fall in love with the medium, but you may perhaps belong in the background, as in producing, where you come up with topics and create content, or perhaps you become a technical producer, where you assist broadcasters to be articulate, to be heard, using the microphone, just understanding the technical side of radio. So yeah, to answer your question, not everybody is meant to be on the microphone, but anybody and everybody can be in broadcasting.
Because most of the people, when I'm in recruiting, they tell me that they don't have a voice for the radio. Is it? This has to be have a. Is it the voice only, or is all those things that you? Oh, voice, it doesn't matter.
Your voice doesn't really. Well, I mean, I don't like saying this because it feels like I'm isolating people. But this is why there are voice coaches,
Voice coaching.
because you can be coached on how to project your voice, on how to use your voice in a way that sometimes I can say I love you or say I love you. It's not what I said, because I said exactly the same thing, but it is in how you say it. So, voice clinics and voice coaches will help to enable you to have that voice for broadcasting. I've never heard a person saying I don't have the voice, but I've heard people saying I have the face for radio.
I had that too. But
So,
that thing, I think it's also out of the window, because most of the radios are broadcast on social media live.
oh, absolutely,
So
absolutely. It just makes it but a myth. And I mean, with makeup these days, we are able to make anything up. That when you look at a person, you don't really see the person that they are after a shower or when they wake up in the morning. And everybody in God's eyes is beautiful. And oftentimes people don't really care much about what you look like, but they care much about what you say. And if what you are communicating is clear and precise, and concise, that's what people get attracted to, and that's what people are connected to. So you may not necessarily have a pleasant, engaging voice. If you are aware of that, consider going for voice coaching, because sometimes your message can be lost in people trying to navigate through a squeaky and annoying voice on air. So just getting a voice coach that will help you to breathe properly, to pace properly, because sometimes when people are nervous, that by the time you're done, I am lost in trying to figure out what just happened. So to prevent that, that's why we use voice coaches. So you may not have a good voice, but there are coaches for that. And also listening to fellow broadcasters and trying to mimic a certain style. Obviously, make sure that you don't mimic it, that you lose your sense of self. You mimic it, but learning to articulate the way that person articulates, but find you in that individual. I'm sure when you listen to radio today, you can hear Eddie Zondi's, feature Eddie Zondi's, where you're like, this guy sounds like so and so. And it for me, it then suggests this person studied so and so and liked their style of broadcasting. But it's important to then find yourself within that individual that inspires you.
ever thought to start a broadcasting school or something like that?
Listening to radio lately, and each time you hear a person saying, I've studied, I've done research, I'm adaptable, and you listen to them speak and you're like, what happened? Because in our days, you would be given a script to read and you would be made to recite this over and over again, and there'll be a coach that clearly helps you to note where you've gone wrong so that you keep on improving. Because when you know what you've done wrong in your whichever set you are given, only then can you improve. So between me and my busy schedule, because I've since moved into business, I try my best in sharing the article. Wisdom, like the article that you came across, and
Mhm.
those with eyes and ears who are listening to this show will hear and do something and do it the way it's supposed to be done. But as for starting a school, ay, ay, ay,
Yeah,
ay,
yeah,
ay.
yeah. So, is there any platform or where people who think they want to do radio to take a chance and try it and maybe fails? Are there open platforms like that? I mean, I know Africa USA Radio opened that platform. We had a lot of people who've never been behind the mic, but we put them in and they try it. Some they still on, some they think they're still on, but they are not on. I don't want to be rude because they are watching and listening. So, so is there any facility where we can help those that who just to try it and then prove to themselves if they can
Yeah,
do it
no,
or not?
look, there are many of institutes that provide broadcasting. I know that in South Africa there are many colleges where you can study the art of radio, you can study journalism, you can start corporate communications, you can study communication science. There are many of these platforms, and Dr. Google can assist you with identifying one that is closest to where you are. But it's important for you to be skilled in whatever field that you choose, because when you have a skill, you then able to utilize all these characteristics that we were talking about, building a good confidence and being able to be adaptable, building professionalism, and knowing how to be part of a team. Because, sometimes you're listening to a show and you're wondering that between the host and the co-host, it sounds like there's competition. There's
Oh.
I. Some people are not able to be adaptable and work within a team, and also being able to acknowledge that it takes a team to put together broadcasting. As you sit there, Reverend Q, you know that there's someone who's responsible for lighting, there's someone
Mhm.
who's responsible for the microphones. Always just acknowledging people who make you sound and look good as a broadcaster.
Mm.
Because if you don't acknowledge them, my experience is that those people can sabotage you.
Oh.
They can sabotage you and you can be exposed. Where you saying something off air and somebody just switches on your microphone and boom, you exposed. So it's also important for you to learn technically what are the skills that are required for you to run a simple desk, and understanding the clock,
Mhm.
respecting people who enable the platform to exist, people like sponsors, advertisers. Because it's such a shame these days that sometimes you even listen to a person singing on top of the lyrics of a song, and you're like, it's unheard of in broadcasting, because that's one of those complete no-nos, radio 101, that you don't sing on top of somebody's lyrical context
Mm.
and content. And you hear these things these days, and I cringe, and I'm like, where did you train? So for you to learn those basics, to be a professional, first it starts with passion, loving the craft, because when you're passionate about something, you invest in learning about it. And every environment has do's and don'ts, and radio has its own do's and don'ts. Learn those.
That was a segment for personnel, radio personnel. I want to move to the business side. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still here with Criselda Kananda, all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, and we are she's very knowledgeable in the radio space, so that's why we brought her over here to Africa USA Radio to deal with these issues. Radio business, my friend. We don't know it that much. You talked about the advertisers, you talk about but first of all, I want just to deal with programming.
Yeah.
How do the when I start driving, I drive a lot. I drive like maybe 4 or 5 hours every other day, and I listen to radio. What must I, because sometimes we need to prepare the listeners
Yeah.
and the broadcasters. What must
Yeah.
I be looking for in the radio?
The most important thing, obviously, would be accessibility. There's nothing as annoying as trying to tune into a specific channel, and you are battling because their frequency is not connecting. And once you have the accessibility, understand your audience. When you
Mhm.
know that you're broadcasting for a specific audience type, and understanding your LSM as well. These are living standards of those people. It really is so unfortunate that sometimes you aim your station to be targeting people who are working, who have affordability, but your content is that of people who are looking for jobs. So when you
Mm.
understand who's listening to you, your content is prepared in such a way that it's relevant for your audience, and even your music will be relevant to the people that are listening to you when you understand who listens to me. And you can only do this when you do, whether even if it's desktop research. Ask
Mhm.
people, where are you listening to us from? Who are you? Let's get to
Okay.
know you better, because that gives you insights on who is tuning in. When you know and understand who is tuning in, even some of the topics and things that are topical on daily basis, when you have that engagement with your listeners, that should give you insights on what it is that your listeners are interested in, be it its issues around relationships, around businesses, around you foster a sense of community when you get to know your listener better, and you are then able to package your content and context based on who is listening to us.
So who choose who? Uh, the listeners choose you, or you focus on your what they call it in business, your target market.
You first have to have it in your mind, who
Okay.
do you want to target. I mean,
Okay.
if I can give you examples of some of the radio stations in South Africa, you have talk 702 Talk Radio. They call themselves Talk Radio, but listeners over time said sometimes we love your station, but sometimes we get tired of listening to talk all the time. Just
Hmm.
add a bit of music, and they
Okay.
listened. And that when you are adjustable like that, you building, as I said, a community of people who then become loyal to you. Within that loyalty, people will indicate that we love topics about health and well-being. In there, you build in, once a year, let's come together and have a marathon. Once a year, let's come together and have a picnic. And that's how you build loyalty, because you take your audience as part of your family. And in a family setting, I mean, you will cater for everyone within the family. So it's important that as you build that community, you provide a content that communicates with that particular audience, and cater for different geographics, as we did indicate, and the LSM group. So to answer your question, you may choose a specific audience, and people who then choose you may be different from your choice. And this is why it's important to constantly keep engaging, that as you keep engaging, you get to know who is specifically listening to me. I may be believing that I'm catering for this particular audience, and only to find that, I mean, if I can give you an example with Metro FM for the past decades, they've been voted by youngsters as the coolest radio station. And you and I know that it's more than 3 decades old.
Yes.
That means the listener has grown, but you still have votes from youngsters who are saying this is the coolest radio station. So you need to then break down the understanding of that. What does it mean? Who am I catering for as a station? Did I perhaps lose my sense of who I am now from the time when I started? So when you do those, desktop researches, when you do those interactions, engagements with your listeners, they give you the insight on who your actual target audience is.
Mm. It's still the censorship on radio. I was driving with my son, and the Umengameli Wala America was talking. They just drop a off a f bomb, and the station we were listening to, they didn't even blip it. It's open ended now. No, what's going on?
The thing is, you can't, if the Mongameli is live, you
Yeah.
can't
Oh, you can't
predict
blip it.
what
Okay.
Mongameli is going to say. But it is important because you will be taken to the Broadcasting Corporation
Okay.
if you just go willy-nilly. But I know that the podcast phenomena has taken over, and there's no filter there. Anything goes. I mean,
Everything
I
goes.
listen sometimes and I'd be like, do people know that internet never forgets? Years from now, whatever you say stays, and it will follow you wherever you are. People will go back to a specific time in your life when you believe you have outgrown that individual, the person that you were, and through the streaming services, they will be able to get your words, your exact words, that this is what you said. Your Mongameli at one point was throwing shade at the then president,
Mhm.
saying that he's not a good negotiator, he has failed in doing this. What did he just do? Exactly what he was accusing the
Accused.
previous Mongameli of. And internet will serve you. And they served him his exact words. And what do you say for yourself now? So yeah, in the digital disruption, it's very difficult. There's currently no ethics and standards. Obviously, each platform where your podcast is hosted, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, they will indicate that you be respectful. There are terms and conditions in being in that platform, but it's very difficult to monitor that. But as for radio, your mainstream platforms, yes, we still have broadcasting corporations that still you can take a person to task with what they say.
The rating is. It seems like the rating is very important on the radio now. So I
Yeah.
feel like it has changed that radio stations they targeting now the socialites, they target the influencers, they target people, maybe actors or singers to be on the radio so that they can pull the crowd. Is that the correct thing, or what's the deal there?
It will, because radio is mostly measured not on the output, on content. They're not only measured on the quality of their broadcast anymore. They are now measured on who has the biggest numbers, which is unfortunate. And this goes back to the people who designed how to measure the impact that radio stations have. I mean, right now the competition is all about who's the number one radio station, who's the
Mm.
most watched television program, and because of that, the context of what goes out, the quality of what goes out, has shifted to the numbers, because it's all about popularity now, how many followers I have. And I suppose that's what's inspired me to post that, um, broadcasting 101, that the
Mhm.
least thing you can do, yes, you have these millions of followers and people, you are believable to your audience. The least you can do is just respect who's listening to you, by just going back and understanding the basics. As you do when you drive, there are rules of engagement. You have to indicate when you pass a person, when you change lanes, and so there is in broadcasting. You may be famous, you may have a huge following for what you post, for your talent, perhaps. it's important to then also acknowledge that the platform where you are, it's also possible that that platform you were made famous by the very broadcasting. So don't disrespect it. Go back and just invest in the basics of how you communicate to the audience. And sometimes you even listen to some of these famous people disrespecting listeners, and it's all about their opinions, dissing listeners. A good broadcaster does the listening more than they do the talking. And these days, it's the other way around. Just because I have a huge following, therefore my opinions go. And oftentimes, opinion does not equate to facts.
So presenters, they're not supposed to be celebrities. They're just supposed to be communicators, or can it be both?
Learn communication skills, because not everybody who has a voice is able to sing. So not
Mhm.
everybody who has a voice is able to communicate. Communicate means you and I are in a space where I need to hear you, I need to listen, be able to hear you, be able to contextualize what you are saying. And if you don't have that ability, you can't call yourself a communicator. You may be the best singer, you may be the best, maybe MC on stage, you may be the best actor. It does not always make you a good communicator.
Those who are watching and listening, please share this live, because I want everybody to hear what our lady, our guest, our special guest has to talk about. In America, there's I don't know, in South Africa, there's this thing called syndicated radio shows that can play in different stations in different states. One should pursue that, or should just pursue her own show in in that particular radio station.
I
For
think
that
for
to
me, for us to keep it reinventing the wheel, we just further dividing this pie, that we making it tiny little pieces, and it really is unfortunate and unnecessary. Because if I specialize in a specific topic,
Mhm.
for me to avoid waffling on air and providing people with just waffles that have no context, no wisdom. For me, collaboration would be better, where I would be known that at a specific time I provide my services on station X because I specialize in this particular area. And I wish more and more platforms can be open to that, as opposed to a Criselda who's so busy wanting to, in her busy schedule, also add running a station when she does not have the capacity to do so. That's why we'll end up with quantity over quality. So I truly believe that we need to embrace soliciting, and collaboration is the better word for me. That when we collaborate, I take your best side, combine it with your best offering, and both of us, we do this digitally, for the benefit of the listener, for the benefit of the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, Criselda Kananda here at Africa USA Radio. We are over in 30 minutes now. We do 20, 30 minutes, but because we are so much in love with what we are hearing, we are learning a lot. We're gonna give it a grace. I'm glad that I'm not gonna get fired, but we can
I
do.
like that.
So, talking about firing and being fired, and
Yeah.
the radio host, they report to the radio station manager, or report, but also there's these things of scandals, or somebody said this and said that. Uh, are we being fired because we're trying to protect the reputation of the radio station, or we are trying to be on the side of the listeners? Because sometimes I might fumble and fall, but the listeners, they really want to consume what I have to say.
Yeah.
How do we
Look,
balance that?
look, I can give you my own personal experience with Metro FM. At the time, I had penned, because I'm known for opinions that build individuals, nations. At the time, I was involved in a situation where a certain deputy minister slept a young girl at a club at 2 a.m., where there was a lot of alcohol consumption, for calling him with a derogatory name. So I penned a piece in saying, people who resort to violence as a means and form of communication come from certain families. They're raised in a specific way. When we connect to gender based violence issues, we need to begin to unpack who is this person that has committed the violent act? Where are they from? Who's raising them? Because the movement at the time was saying men are trash, this person must be arrested and thrown in jail. And my opinion was that prisons are not counseling services for badly brought up children, and for children with childhood traumas. Not that I was suggesting that this particular deputy minister had childhood traumas, but I was saying let's broaden how we engage with gender-based violence issues and not just look at a person because of their association with a specific political party and just make it about party politics. It's a deep issue that is in each and every home. Gender based violence is only receiving a larger voice now. At the time when I penned my opinion, South Africans were not ready to hear what I had to say and in the way I articulated it, because I was not for punishment of people, but I was more in correcting a behavior. And then that was misconstrued for me saying that the individual must not be punished. So the then programs manager decided to take it upon themselves to say Criselda must be, at the time I was, what word do they use? Unscheduled. And you know that media will exaggerate and make it about something that it's not. Top DJ gets fired, and at the time the unscheduling meant we see what social media is doing right now, and we responding to the social media to check whether you have brought the station to disrepute. And I mean, that case ended up in court where I stated my case that I was employed on the base of my opinions, and my opinions are that of nation building. How is the national broadcaster wanting me to go with the populist view of throwing stones at people, stones that are not building at all? That has never been me. And I won the case, and the headline never happened when I won the case. And at the time, the executive then asked if I still wanted to go back. And at the time, I think I was also too emotional, that for a station I had given so much to, that they would make a decision based on, at the time it was Twitter. That means I'm not valued. And I then chose a different platform because they asked what platform would be suitable for me at the time. I then chose SAFM radio because I believe that when you are with an environment where it's about populism and what Twitter says, that meant for me, I've outgrown that space. So I wanted a more matured space that would use wisdom and maturity in our terms of engagement. And that's what happened with that case. So to answer your question, unfortunately, I mean, I've seen a popular broadcaster who was swearing at a fellow driver and saying a whole lot of insulting words. Nothing happened to that individual. They are still on air. I've had, radio presenters telling off a listener. Those people are still on air. And having been having gone through what I went through, when I was purely being me, the me that I was brought onto that platform for my views, for guidance, for the wisdom, and not for populism. It was not fashionable to talk about HIV at the time. But at the time, my wisdom was welcomed. Even sometimes I would be a little bit harsh using tough love to get listeners to step out of a pity party and begin to find nuggets that help them to move to the next level in their healing journey. And that was completely ignored. And for me, it just says it depends on who's responsible for the program and how much they value you as an individual. Some people end up being in romantic relationships.
Oops. We lost it, ladies and gentlemen. I think she's gonna come back. There she go. Uh-huh.
There was a call coming through. I've had to stop it. And you know, these things happen. But yeah, unfortunately, it depends on the station, the program's manager, the station manager, and on what it is that they utilize to find value in their talent.
And you can also escalate it to SAPC, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beverly Patton, thank you for watching and thank you for commenting there in Brooklyn, New York. One of the greatest artists, musicians, piano player. We
Wow.
love you that you are here. And she's got a school of music. She teaches music. And
Wow.
God bless you. We love you, Beverly. Keep staying there. Keep sharing. And yeah, I just interviewed her not long ago in this platform. Thank you for sharing. She said your powerful story. What you just said is very powerful.
Thank you.
She said
Thank you.
powerful story. You can contact her, Beverly. You can contact Criselda, Dr. Criselda Kananda. She is from South Africa. She lives in Johannesburg. And I know you said you love South Africa. One day I'll take you there. But anyway, when does a broadcaster know that he or she have overstayed her welcome in the station, and how do you know that okay, I've exhausted all my topics or my programming? It's either I need to innovate or
Yeah.
improve or move over.
Yeah. I remember sitting because what people don't know is that in broadcasting, especially as presenters, and I hope you don't do the same, Reverend Q,
Yeah.
people get contract renewals every year. And
Mhm.
that means you have no security whatsoever.
Oh man.
Every year you are at somebody's mercy, and
Yes.
this is why people would be nicer to programs managers towards the time of contract renewal. And for me, I believe that your work should be what speaks for you and not
Mhm.
favors done for you. So there came a time for me to renew my contract with everything that I had done in broadcasting. And I'm sitting there, and there's an acting station manager and a programs manager, and they're telling me you've done so well on daytime. But a lot of people miss the talk radio that you did around 6 to 8, because you handled topic of sexuality. You have a sexy voice, and
Mhm.
that took me aback. I was like, okay, if
Okay.
that's how you package me, then it means I'm done here. My intention was never to be a sex symbol. My intent was more about being wisdom filled and broadcasting for total citizen empowerment or listener empowerment. And if I'm now put in a sexy box, I don't belong here anymore. And
Mm.
that's when I made a decision that I'm out. And it
Okay.
was unfortunate because listeners just could not believe that you could just be dumping us like that. But
Mm.
at the time, I was calculating, Reverend Q, that I'm at a certain age. I have a contract that is year on year. I need to own property for my family. I
Mhm.
need to have a pension fund. You can't have that when you on year. I needed to have a stable medical aid because I'm on chronic medication. So there was a lot to consider. And that's when I made the decision that that's it, I'm out. And for me, it really speaks to your own personal reasons. It could be a person who believes that, I remember I was once a nurse. When I started shouting at the patients, I knew it was time for me to leave. And I left. And you know, when you've lost the passion, you're beginning to take for granted the platform, you're beginning to take for granted the audience. And I still have butterflies whenever I'm on stage, when I have to MC or facilitate a dialogue. If I start losing those butterflies, that for me indicates that I'm now taking for granted the platform, and I therefore mustn't do it anymore. So yeah, for me, those are the telling facts on and also when your audience keeps telling you that we don't appreciate you, we don't like you anymore,
and
don't want you, listen to them.
and
And obviously you listen to them within reason, because sometimes it may be they don't like you because you tell them the truth, and sometimes it may be they don't like you for good reason because you have an I syndrome. It's I, me, myself, and I. Your broadcasting style is annoying. You lie about people. You are rude, and all those elements would indicate that you are not in the right platform anymore.
as we are winding down, we are still here with Dr. Criselda, Canada. Social media and the radio. How do you associate those two? Because sometimes by the time the radio comes on, we already know everything, the stories of the day, and we don't know what to say anymore.
For me, this is why it's important to prepare and get to understand your audience. When something breaks on social media, give it a bit of context by researching the topic. Somebody decides that, you know what, number one of this country said X. It really will take nothing from you to contact the office so that you qualify the statement, even if you have a press release that is issued that you'll be quoting from. Because sometimes somebody will say something out of context and you just jump over. We've recently had a very unfortunate situation in South Africa where a young woman was brutally murdered after going on a date with a potential suitor. At the time, she didn't know that she's saying yes to a murderer. This is a highly educated young woman who's 30 years of age, right age to be looking for a person to have a relationship with. And some of the opinions that were formed on social media, my goodness, were so scary. One, how did this person go into a stranger's car? All of us, when we approach one another for a relationship, we start being strangers, don't we? So as a broadcaster, you then take a story like that, put it into context. Who was this young woman? Because in that, you are broadening the thinking, the narrative that has been spread on social media. There's many ways of being creative about content and context. So as a spokesperson for the family, I was very clear that my role is to get South Africans, and it turned out to be the world, getting to know about this young woman called Olurato, her achievements, who she is, that she was not just a statistic. Because I was clear in the intention of my communication, and that's what we achieved as a result. So when you're not intentional about community, we apologize for that. This person keeps calling. They don't realize that I'm alive. When you're not intentional about what it is that you want your audience to hear, that's what happens. Narratives get distorted and you lose the meaning of the conversation. Just to give you one other famous example, the then president of the Republic of South Africa talks to a phenomena that was happening that was called AIDS. He then calls scientists and indicates to them, once again, we apologize, indicates to them that we have a problem, and it's called HIV stroke AIDS. When you define to me what HIV is, I believe, as the president of the country and an intellectual, that HIV alone, note the alone, can't be the causative agent for people to lose weight, for people to die prematurely, for people, and everything that we associate with AIDS. Therefore, something is wrong. What could be that thing? And a journalist takes that story and says the president does not believe HIV causes AIDS. To this day, that is known as his statement, and that was not necessarily accurate. So you may, as a journalist, there's also a famous politician in South Africa that reported about Mabukredo Mutwa when he predicted about a youth uprising in Soweto. Instead of articulating what Mabukredo Mutwa said, she distorted it and said he wants to, he uses muti to kill people. And that man was almost killed for that story. So as a broadcaster, you have a huge responsibility to honestly tell a story in such a way that it is factual. And when you're not factual, do indicate that allegedly, and unfortunately, social media uses this allegedly very loosely because they are scared of being sued.
And you didn't take a credit that you took it upon yourself to go and do a research about that HIV thing.
Oh yeah, I did. I also took some slack because they said government paid me to talk about my HIV status. I'm lying. I mean, I've had to go to extreme miles where I tested live on my show. Had one of the most respected world virologists reading my results live on air for people to believe that me sharing about my HIV story, my HIV journey was not just a myth. I was tested to date. It's 27 years ago, and I live productively simply because I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So whatever it is that I was teaching on that platform are things that I was practicing. So that's the power of this medium. To date, I come across people who would say I was on the verge to kill myself. I was on the verge do horrible things to my family, to my partner, and you helped me to gain perspective and understand facts around the condition.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just join us, we are here with Dr. Criselda Kananda. I always think about Canada, the country.
Yeah, no, it's Criselda Kananda.
Criselda Kananda. Oh, Kananda.
Kananda.
Criselda
It's a
Kananda.
Xhosa surname based in the Eastern Cape.
So I keep saying we are wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up.
That's what you get from getting a broadcaster, right?
The broadcaster, like we were talking about, how long you need to stay on your program, or how long. It also involves money, finance. Should we do this as an employment, or should we do this as a passion, or should we do this as giving back to the community? Who is a broadcaster?
Look, in the olden days, broadcaster was meant for empowering citizens in whatever way or form. And then they came and introduced commercials to the broadcasting. That now the loudest voice is that which pays the bills. Whether it makes sense or not, I know of terrible broadcasters, even if I have to say so myself from a loving place, but because they bring in money. that they have longevity on radio. Simply because I'm able to speak to so and so who is a decision maker in a platform that can sponsor my program. Like I said, my program started with being sponsored by one of the largest insurers. But by respecting the craft, I enabled myself to learn in such a way that people don't just remember me as a broadcaster, but they always remember what Criselda said and how it made them feel. For me, that was the ultimate goal. So even if you are able to get the money, please just invest in paying attention to the media, respect the craft. And that's all I ask. And I know that many of my fellow broadcasters who are legends in the field would agree with the same sentiment.
I think I missed something to what you said. So you went to the radio station, you
Yeah,
gave them your proposal,
yeah.
and then you went and looked for the
No,
sponsor.
no, no. They told me that that proposal looks too good. One, you're calling it positive talk.
Uh-huh.
Nobody listens to positive news.
Okay.
So I then said, okay, what will it take for me not to be absorbed by your style of programming? But
Mhm.
what will it take for me to have this positiveness on radio? Because at the time, I was driven by changing and shifting negative narratives to positive, where I believe that we needed to bring good out of positive. Positive means more, it means addition, it means good. So we need to go back there. And if you can maybe go back and Google some of the old pictures of myself, you'll notice that I had dots that are where I had as a brand across
Mhm.
my face, because I was saying life is about yin and yang. There's always two sides to any story. Did your team find the picture? Yay.
I think the one that is in there is there.
So for me, it was yin and yang to say there's always two sides to any story. Doctor may say you're going to die. That's a scientific version. But the reality is God created you. You have a maker. And until the maker says it's time for you to come back home, you ain't done yet. So there's always two sides to any story. And that was the message that I was driving at the
Okay.
time. And they believe that that won't fly. So as I walked away, I asked them, how much will it take? They gave me a figure. As I walked away, I asked God that how do you plant a seed, make me this passionate, sit all night long, putting together a proposal with so much passion, with so much drive in it, only for it to be declined. You bring destiny enablers when you plant a seed. So where's my destiny enabler right now? And as I went into my car, boom, here's an insurer calling, saying, we've been watching you. What can we do together? I did not go out looking for them. They paid attention to what I was doing. So that speaks to some of the decision makers in financial institutions. Don't just make this about friendship and what numbers the individual is about is bound to draw. Also make it about the impact on how impactful the partnership is going to be, because I mean then that program was brought to you by that insurer, and Positive Talk became a huge brand to date. I mean, I had my company called Positive Talk Services, still exists. I changed my car registration to Positive GP. I was about positiveness, and positive
Mm.
was all around me. And everybody, when you say I'm going through stuff, they will tell you, tune in to Criselda's social media platforms. You'll find some positive vibes. And that's what
Yeah.
I was about and still am about.
And we do tune in. We do follow you a lot. We pick everything you say. And then another thing I want to say, I like it because in that story that you talked about, there was some misinformation, and you came back and corrected it.
Yeah.
And then you put the facts where they are, and we like that. We like that. But anyway, we were going to talk about a lot of things, but we're about an hour now. So we, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put a pause. She's family. She's here at Africa USA Radio. So we're going to call her back in the near future and continue because I wanted to talk about uh, exactly that, what she was talking about. So you went and found the funding for your show.
Yeah.
So you didn't only bless your show, you also bless the platform, the radio
Oh,
station.
absolutely. So that I'm able to articulate my best version, not a scripted version. And that's important for presenters to know, that the one who pays the bills is the one whose mouth you use when you articulate your facts.
So I want you to tell the broadcaster, tell me that I'm not employee. I'm an employer. I'm employing myself.
Yeah,
I'm a
absolutely.
business person.
You are a business. This is me talking to you now. You,
Uh-huh.
as a presenter, as a broadcaster, you write your own check. If the platform says will can only afford 5,000 rands, say provided you allow me to go and find my own commercial partnerships, because with those ads, that's where your money comes in. But if you don't believe that what you have can pay your bills, you'll always be employed.
Wow. I hope you guys are listening. I'm listening. I'm gonna write my checks now. From now on.
That's it.
From
And
now
when
on.
you write your own checks, you'll never work a day in your life,
Wow.
especially with something you are passionate about, because your passion will pay the bills.
Wow. Criselda
Thank
Kananda.
you.
Thank you so much for stopping by at Africa USA
Thank
Radio.
you.
I
I
just
really am
if
so
if I don't stop it here, I'll keep continuing and continuing and continuing. We love you so much. We love you for being here, for the time you've done, and for the impact you have in the community at large. Because you do have an income. So can we book you anytime to come back? Are you open for to come
I
back
am
again?
open. Thank you.
Oh,
Broadcasting will always be my first love. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
God
as
bless
we
you.
write corporate checks, I still at the core of who I am. I
That's
am a
right.
broad.
Anyway,
Yeah.
tell our listeners who have not come across you where to find you, how to follow you, and how to engage with you.
Okay. On X and Facebook and Instagram, I am at positive one word positive GP. As
Mhm.
one word, and on Facebook, I'm also Criselda Kananda, spelled without an H,
Mhm.
Criselda, and Kananda spelled Kananda. Would love to hear from you. I'm also on LinkedIn as Criselda Kananda, Dr. Criselda Kananda, by the way. We've been leaving out the doctor part.
Mhm.
Yes, that's who I am. Thank you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for inviting me. And we shall meet again. Like you said, it's not a goodbye, it's till we meet again.
It's a pause. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Criselda Kananda. We are so grateful that she stopped by here at Africa USA Radio. And we are running out of time. And we thank you guys for listening and watching. Please share the live. And please go to Africa USA Unity Events YouTube channel and then click like over there and subscribe if you have not subscribed so that you can get all these nice narrated topics that we are bringing to you. And we really, really so appreciative to Doctor for stopping by and share her thoughts and share her mind and share her passion with us. And we're going to be a blessing. She's going to be a blessing to our industry, which is a broadcasting industry, which is radio and TV. So for now, I'm going to say thank you for watching. We love you. Follow us, Africa USA Unity Events, Radio and TV on social, on Facebook, Africa USA Unity Events on Instagram, Africa USA Unity Events on TikTok, and Africa USA Unity Events on YouTube channel. God bless you. We love you. Take care.